On today's Toy Spot, we're going to be looking at G.I. Joe 25th Anniversary. We're going to be looking at the Master of Disguise, looking at Zartan. I love Zartan. He's one of my favorite members of Cobra. And I originally had the 80s Zartan, and for one reason or another, I don't know what happened to him, but I think he ended up getting sold. I kind of regret it now after the fact. But Zartan's now been released in a 25th anniversary format. This isn't the first Zartan to be released. In fact, there is an older Zartan released from the 25th anniversary line. Unfortunately, I didn't have it at the time that I'm shooting this review. He's packed away somewhere. The original Zartan, I think what they wanted to do, they wanted, much like Serpentor, if you collected the 25th anniversary figures, you kind of know this. With the Zartan and with the Serpentor, they tried to do something a little bit different, keeping still the original idea of Zartan, but they slightly tweaked it for, I guess, a more updated look of Zartan. Now, I don't know if they've realized that really is not, it's not a great Zartan figure. It's nice, but they've clearly gone back. They've gone back to the drawing board, as it were, and they've reimagined Zartan, and they've now released him. This is now the second release of Zartan. Slightly different face, and this really relies more on an homage to the original Zartan figure, right down actually to his water sled. Package on the front, nice package as always, being a 25th anniversary G.I. Joe. Harks back really to the old school, where they've got the image of the figure on the front, the character, Cobra Enemy, of course, down there as well, and the included sled. On the back of the package, it says, look for more Ultimate Action Team members. And then in this team, or in this set, so to speak, we've got Cobra Commander, G.I. Joe Hawk, we've got Sergeant Bazooka, Barbecue, Storm Shadow in a black attire, not really a fan of that, Snow Serpent, Cobra Bat, we've got Tiger Force Duke, we've got Mutant Junkyard, we've got Cobra Paraviper, Cobra Bazooka Trooper, Croc Master, the Mercenary Wraith, Specialist Tracker from the Mask toy line, surprisingly. Sergeant Airborne, Cobra Eel. We've got Scarlet in her pilot outfit. And finally, we have Flint in a Cobra Trooper outfit, which I think was from, I want to say it's from the Weather Dominator episode. I think it was from the Weather Dominator. Either that or it was the Pyramid of Darkness. But the Master of Disguise, Zartan's read-up down below on his... Thank God his file cards. I'm so glad they brought these back. You clip these out. I had a whole ton of them from the 80s. His file card says, real name unknown, aliases too numerous to list, birthplace unknown. And it says Zartan can alter his skin color at will to blend in with his environment. He is also a master of makeup and disguise, ventriloquist, linguist of over 20 languages and dialects, acrobatic contortionist, and practitioner of several mystic martial arts. Very little is known of his background and origins, but most security agencies agree that he must have had European military academy training, probably Saint Cyr. His training and skills make him difficult to find and almost impossible to capture. He has established a criminal compound in a remote swamp region, which he navigates on his customized chameleon swamp skier. His quote, I can be anyone, anywhere. You will never know that you are talking to me unless I wish it. Very, very cool. So that is packaging on the 25th anniversary, the second release of Zartan. What we'll do is we'll get this packaged opened up, and we will have a look at the Master of Disguise Zartan. And now that he's out of his package, let's get a better look at one of my favorites. Let's have a look at Zartan. We'll look first at his swamp skier, his chameleon swamp skier. And anyone who grew up in the 80s and actually owned the original Zartan, you'll remember that Zartan was packaged with a swamp skier such as this. They've vastly improved it because the original swamp skier, you actually had to put together. It had all the individual pieces, and then there was like a green crate that all the pieces actually sat inside. It made for a very loose, flimsy toy, and not one that you could easily get the figure in. I found a lot of the times. So what they've done instead, they've given us the same vehicle, but they've just made it as one solid piece, and I am completely fine with that. There is nothing on the piece that moves except for really the handlebars. But I'm very nice that they've included this. I really like that quite a bit. Obviously, he's used the vehicle a couple of times. I think the one I really remember, he used this in the episode of G.I. Joe. I think it is the Weather Dominator, because he uses it and he disguises himself as the Admiral. He goes in and he breaks out Cobra Commander. So him and the Dreadnoks are riding these, which is kind of cool. So he does come with that. Also, as a little childhood memory, I still remember going into a toy store at the mall in the 80s, and I still remember seeing a fully packaged mint on card. Obviously, it was mint back in the day, but I still remember seeing a Zartan completely packaged. Sometimes the memory works. So we'll put the Chameleon Swamp Skier to the side. As you can see, I've got Zartan on his base, which also is a nice improvement from the original toys, that they've now included stands. Most of the collectors who are buying these are probably adult collectors. You don't necessarily play with them. Some of us do, I don't know. But it's nice that they come with figure stands, because if you want to just put them on your shelf, you've got a nice little display piece with their code names down below. Take Zartan off his display stand just for a second. Give you guys just a quick view of it. It's the same stand as they use with all the other Cobra figures. Obviously, the only difference is the name on the front. So we'll put that aside. Look at Zartan here, looking much nicer. And I really wish I had the other figure on hand. I would show you guys. But looking very nice and very reminiscent of the old 80s toy. The only thing that it doesn't have, that the 80s toy had, was the color change skin. Zartan, Zarana, and Xandar. I think it's Xandar. I'm trying to remember if Xandar was the Dreadnok or if Xandar was... Zarana was definitely his sister. But all three of those figures could have color changing skin. And put them under sunlight and they go like a nice blue. This Zartan doesn't actually have that. It's just a basic coloring. Would have been nice, yeah, if they had actually put in the color change body, but I'm fine with it. Now there is this Zartan was also packaged in a 5-pack that had Cobra Commander, a hooded Cobra Commander, a Viper with a chrome dome, I think Destro, Baroness, and then Zartan. Zartan, similar body, but they've changed the vest out to, I guess, kind of simulate the color change. But I always love Zartan. He does come with a knife that you can actually hold in his hand. So if he wants to cut you. The knife also can be housed in his leg. Not in his leg, but it's got a little holster in his leg that you can put the knife in. Also, one of the cool things about G.I. Joe 25th anniversary figures is that a lot of the accessories on the figure aren't just molded pieces like they were in the 80s. You can actually take guns out, take knives out. Speaking of guns, he also comes with his iconic blaster that he's used several times in the cartoon. And we'll put that in his hand that you guys can see it. Also, the one thing he does come with too, as very reminiscent of the, I'll just put him, we'll rest him against his Chameleon Swamp Skier for a second. He also does come with his backpack. And again, if you've owned a Zartan from the 80s, you'll remember that Zartan came with a case that held a mask. Now, he doesn't come with the mask that he came with in the 80s. Instead, he's got a Storm Shadow, as well as what looks to be a Duke head. And you can hold those. I don't think you can hold both. We'll see here. Yeah, you can hold both actually in his backpack. And the backpack, you can actually peg. There's a hole actually right underneath his vest where you can peg the backpack in. And you can have him holding it that way. Also, being that he's a master of disguise, either one of these masks, we'll take the Duke one here so you show you guys. The Duke you can actually wedge inside, exactly the same as his 80s counterpart. You can actually take the mask of Duke and you can snap it into place. Although I didn't obviously get that in as well as it probably could, but you get the idea. Obviously not a master of disguise, toy form wise, because despite the fact he looks like what looks to be Duke, Duke obviously doesn't look like that. So it might be a giveaway. I don't know. People might not say, hey Duke. They might say, hey Zartan, what are you doing with that Duke face? But I really, really like this figure. Really, really. Also, just to clear up a bit of a debate here amongst many G.I. Joe fans. I remember writing to Toy Fair back in the day, and I actually asked them about what's on his head. There is some debate that people have said that this is his hair. Some people have said it's a hood. Obviously, in this toy, it's clearly a hood. Apparently, Zartan in the first two pilot episodes, the two 5-part episodes, wore a hood. And this is up for speculation. From the second miniseries, the Weather Dominator onward, apparently this was his hair. Because you remember, actually, there's several episodes where it looks like it's blowing like hair, but then sometimes it looks like a hood. And apparently in the 87 movie, or the 86 movie, it is his hair. It's not actually a hood. Which really doesn't clear up anything because, again, the debate still goes on. I'm getting off topic here. In the way of his articulation, being a standard G.I. Joe, Zartan can move his head back and forth. Can't really move his head up and down just because of the way his hood is. But you can bend his arms back and forth, in and out. You can rotate the arms. You can bend at the elbow. You can rotate at the hand. He has the mid-torso rotation. You can bend the legs back and forth. You can bend the knees at 2 points, which I love about the new G.I. Joes. You can also rotate at the feet, and you can slightly bend them. There you have Zartan. I certainly talked a lot about Zartan in this figure, in this review, and that's just because I'm such a huge fan of Zartan. This figure is worth picking up. If you have already picked up the original Zartan figure, I would say give this guy a look, because he is such, I think, a vast improvement from the original Zartan figure. If you can't find him, he was also released as I believe the Heroes line. I think there was a Heroes line of him as well. Hall of Heroes, that's what I was thinking of. But there was a Hall of Heroes version of Zartan as well, which I actually am going to do a review of, just to give you guys a comparison of the two. But this figure, Zartan here, I'm going to give an 8.5. A great figure to pick up. That was a Toy Spot. Today we're looking at the second release, the updated version of the 25th anniversary of Zartan. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, for all you G.I. Joe fans out there. And I will see you guys next time. Yo, Joe.